Bean Soup Times is on a mission to create dope content that entertains, educates, and empowers the Black community. We keep our ear to the ground, we ask, we report to you. We help Black people to share their message. We promote real dialogue. We provide a platform to help give voice to the voiceless. We educate you on how to shop smart. Our passion is to inform you about Black events, businesses, organizations, and entertainers. We are Black owned. We are Black Chicago. We are the award-winning Bean Soup Times.
Y'all started off with just a blessing, man. Appreciate it.
Sean Michelle's homemade ice cream is the only place to go when the ladies crave delicious old-fashioned homemade ice cream. Their vanilla tastes just like Grandma used to make it. With over 35 flavors, all made with the freshest ingredients, Kathy has never had banana pudding ice cream this good. It's homemade ice cream the way you remember, and Sean Michelle's doesn't upset your stomach. Enjoy in-store or take it to go. Sean Michelle's. Fall in love again.
First-time customers, buy one, get one free.
My name is Dolphin Norris. I'm one of the owners of Dan's Soul Food and Cafe, located at 2523 West 79th Street. Best in the Midwest. My partner is my mother. She's the oldest, wisest living person I know. She can look at her food and tell you if it's right or wrong. She wants three things. She wants her food to be good, she wants her place to be clean, and she wants excellent customer service. Well, we've been surviving the pandemic better than ever. We've shut down the sit-down part. However, our carry-out, Uber Eats, and DoorDash has been up about 20-30%. But the main thing is that we're servicing people correctly, making sure they got good food at a good price, and they're comfortable with it, and they know that our place is clean.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I am Adeline Bracey, the Mississippi Queen. I have been in this neighborhood for 46 joyful years. And I've been coming to Dan's Soul Food because his food is so good. I closed my restaurant to start eating here. And I'm here today because of the $6 holler. This chicken is so succulent. Tender, juicy, and the flavor, oh my goodness. Hey people, if you haven't been here, you must. It is a must if you live in the city of Chicago, especially on the south side. But if your car travel to the suburbs or wherever, come into the city. Enjoy Dan's Soul Food and Bakery. And tell them I told you so. My name is Adeline Bracey, and I approve this message.
Hi, my name is Linda Hardison, and I've been coming to Dan's Soul Food for years on top of years. Listen, this is the place to come when you want some soul. White folks, if y'all don't have no soul, come on down. You're going to get it here, I promise you. If you don't get it in your wiggle, you'll get it in your plate. Just kidding. But this is good food, and we just want to thank our sister for being here for so long. She's a staple in our community, and we just thank you for that, sister. All right, y'all, have a blessed one. Come on down and eat at Dan's Soul Food.
Greetings. Peace. Assalamu alaikum. What's going on, my brothers and my sisters? Man, I don't know if you feel as good as I feel today, but I am just so encouraged and so thankful because every day on the top side of the earth is a good day. Every day to be able to reach and strive for your goals. Every day to be able to see the beautiful people in your life, your family and your friends. Every day to be able to experience the challenges, no matter what they are of life, to know that you are alive, man. It is so a wonderful thing. And I just continue to thank my parents for, being that vessel that brought me into the earth. And I thank them, and I thank my relatives, my grandmother, my grandfather, and those that have been in my life that have helped me to get the right perspective. And of course, I have to thank the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan because man, the wisdom, the knowledge that he provides to us on a consistent and daily basis is so imperative for us to have a understanding and a perspective on life. You know, I know some of you all may still be in the valley of decision, but it just feels so comfortable to be resolved and not to have to even think about, should I or should I not get vaccinated? Is it right? Can I trust them? Is it okay? You know what I'm saying? Just to be comfortable and not I don't have to worry about that. And the word for the day, right, that I want to share with you all comes from some conversations I've been having really in the past week. And if you've seen my Facebook page, I posted a quote, a short excerpt of a message from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan when he talks about how detrimental a lie is, how it destroys, right? Lies can destroy not only an individual, a family, a relationship, an organization, a community. It can destroy an entire people. I mean, just look at what lies did to you and I. Look at how we still have the residue of lies upon us. Don't get offended. Don't get offended when I say this, but some of us are carrying a lie in our last name. We're carrying someone else's name, right? That was forced on us based upon a lie, that we weren't worthy of respect, that we were not human beings, that we were slaves, right? All of that is a lie. And we were given a name that reflects that lie. So, but anyway, I don't want to get too far in that vein, but the point is that a lie and the truth are so opposed to one another. And we should think about lying, whether we're doing the lying or whether we're receiving a lie. We should think about that the same way that you how would you respond if I told you and I asked you, were you hungry? And told you I'm gonna fix you something to eat. I'm gonna make sure that you eat, right? And I'm gonna prepare a meal for you. And you thinking about that meal all day. And when the time comes for that meal, I put up some plastic food and I give it to you. I tell you, here, enjoy, right? Maybe I spray it with some fake food smell, make you think that you're smelling, make you think you're smelling some real food and you're not, right? Would you be offended? What kind of anger would rise out of you, not only because you're hungry, but because the audacity of me to feed you something false? Well, we've been affected by lies. We've become little liars and some of us big liars. But man, it's time for us to focus inward and strive to speak the truth every single day, first and foremost to ourselves. And then speak the truth to our friends and our family. And then speak the truth to power. Now, some of us don't do it because it takes some effort, right? It takes some wisdom, right? Because oftentimes we speak a lie because we haven't done enough research to look for the truth. So we just talk out of the side of our neck. But anyway, I just want to send that message, man. It's, first of all, before you stop lying to other people, stop lying to yourself, and then focus on stop lying to other people. We need truth today. And shout out to all of those who speak the truth to power every single day. So, man, we have a great show today, man. This is her, man. She comes on. This is the beginning of the year. She came on at the beginning of the year last year and helped kick off this show that we've been doing consistently. Of course, in this format, we started off somewhere else with intellectual radio, but we've kept it going online. From the Black Cave. And she is a continuous wealth of information, of support, of motivation, and action. She is a multi-million-dollar earner. She is a developer. She is a serial entrepreneur that, y'all know that old school King Midas, right? Everything he touched was gold, man. Everything she touched turns to gold. And even if it turns into copper, it's worth more than the gold. We're going to talk about that in a minute. So, but let me bring on to the show, Sister Sajdah Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, Brother Tori. You so crazy.
Man, you're the only person I know that can make copper worth more than gold.
That's a lot doing that. That's the messenger in his house making that copper worth more than gold. I'm just a vessel.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You're a vessel, like the copper, like the gold.
Praise be to Allah.
So, man, we appreciate you and definitely thank you for coming on the show today. We got a lot to talk about, so let's get it in. First of all, you know, just give the people a little background. You know, again, I always give you props for being the first Black person that I know. You know, I heard of and I've read the history about Dr. Daniel Hale Williams and the starting of Providence Hospital. But before him and after him, I've not heard of anybody establishing a hospital, and you put a $20 million micro hospital together in the Prince George's area, you know, Maryland. So talk a little bit about that. And I think that kind of lays the groundwork for the next part of the conversation.
You know, Brother Tori, first of all, thank you for having me here. I love coming on your show. It's always fun. You know, we can't resist making fun of our brothers. So I'm sure I'll find something to laugh at you about.
Always picking on me.
Always picking on you. Man, the micro hospital. I know my business partner's probably thinking, I just wanted a surgery center or something. Did this girl come with a hospital? But to be honest with you, I had the messenger in the back of my mind. And what I'm learning, Brother Tori, is that I of myself am nothing. And I used to think that I was so smart and I could just, I was thinking up all this stuff. But when I look back now, I don't even say Allah's footprints are in my life. I just say I'm walking through his desire, because it took 4 years to develop the micro hospital. And the reason why it's called a micro hospital is because we don't keep patients overnight. So we have everything a hospital has, but we can only keep people 23 hours and 59 minutes. And the model that I was blessed to put together is a very unique model that no one else has done before. So we have, physician services, and then we also have surgery. We have 6 ORs, and we have then 8 exam rooms. We use 7 of them, and we have radiology and basically everything a hospital has. And I spent some time, about a year, studying the federal guidelines, studying to try to figure out how to put it together in Prince George's County, which was a challenge because Prince George's County is one of those areas where government is king. So you don't really get a lot of guidance as an independent, entrepreneur. And so I had to kind of just figure it out. I had to come to Chicago, which is home, which is where I am, and find out what would Chicago require, which I knew I could get documentation on, and then reverse engineer it and go back to the state of Maryland and to the county and say, this is what we want to do. These are the risks you should be concerned about. And this is how I'm going to mitigate these risks. And this is what it's going to look like. So it was like a reverse engineering process. And then as it turned out, the state of Maryland guidelines were more stringent in a lot of areas than the federal guidelines. So following the state of Maryland kind of almost ensures that you're going to meet most of the federal guidelines. And so we've been open now since 2016. And prior to that, just to give you an idea of how we started off, when I met my business partner, I was on a project in DC. I spent 7 years, Brother Tori, on the road as a consultant, going from Chicago to DC, Chicago to Buffalo, Chicago to Boston, Chicago to New York, New Orleans, Houston. I had projects in a lot of different areas. And people would ask me, again, like I said, I know now that that was all Allah doing that. And people would ask me, how you get this project, or how'd you do that? And I thought, well, because I bid on it and I did this or that. And I did have to do some things. But to be honest with you, Allah was putting me in front of all these projects and all these different things. And I ended up with just a plethora of knowledge and being in and out of a certain number of companies in a short period of time and learning a lot, both as a consultant for a company or several companies, and then as an independent consultant. To my surprise, I even did better as an independent consultant than I did, for the company. So my business partner was working on a nonprofit organization called Motivate Me for Life, where for himself coming out of the streets of DC and becoming a surgeon, he wanted to give back to young Black male youth in the community. And I was like, I didn't feel that, you know what I mean? I try to make sure, not that I don't care about young Black male youth, but for some reason, it just didn't resonate with me. And then I went to the meeting anyway, and I was sitting there talking to him. And then he said, what I really want to do is get up out of this hospital and build a clinic. And I said, now that resonates. I can help you with that. So I started working with him to find a location, put a business model together, and I was going back and forth. And when I was getting ready to leave, he was like, wait a minute. I stayed for, a certain percentage. And then we started out with one clinic, and we did different consulting projects, but we couldn't get any patients. And we couldn't get other doctors in the district or in Prince George's County or Montgomery County to send us any patients. We couldn't get the insurance companies to credential us. So I came up with this campaign where I first went around to each insurance company and presented our business model and what we were going to do, how we were going to treat the patients, a lot of which is born out of the teachings that we learned. And I had learned how to take the basics of the teachings and transform them into policies and procedures. And so that resonated with people. And so insurance companies started saying, yes, we want to work with you guys. Still, doctors and the healthcare industry, they're like gangbangers and set trippers. They're very, very gangster and very territorial. So people still wouldn't really deal with us. And so then I said, okay, I know what we're going to do. I know that there are people in our community that have cardiovascular disease. That is the number one killer in our community. And our people are dying left and right, and nobody's referring them to vascular specialists. And when they are referred to vascular specialists, they end up amputated or having a stroke or having a heart attack or some kind of arrhythmia anyway. So I went to the DC Office on Aging. The District of Columbia had been awarded as the most senior-friendly city. And so I went to the director then, Dr. John Thompson is who was the director at that time. And I presented to him, I said, let's do a partnership where we go into these wellness centers and we go into these retirement homes and nursing homes, and we evaluate our people and figure out how we can help them to prevent some of this vascular devastation that is rampant in our community. And Dr. Thompson loved the idea, so we partnered together. And then we started building patients. Then we picked sort of like a sister hospital which was considered like the worst hospital in the district, where we started trying to work out of. And that was extremely challenging. Because we were there, but they didn't really want us there. And some people did want us there. And it got to the point where we were deciding like, maybe we should put some investors together and buy that hospital. And I'm telling this story so that entrepreneurs can understand a process. Yeah. So we thought about, what if we buy this hospital? And so I went before the city council and made a presentation, but the hospital had a lot of debt that the district wasn't willing to forgive. So we couldn't really put that deal together, even though I found people who were interested in investing. There was so much debt that it just would have made us upside down. And as we were trying to figure that out, I went to the then mayor for life, Mayor Marion Barry.
Yes.
I love him. And let me tell you something, because to those of us who judge a book by its cover, and I was one of them, admittedly, I didn't know him. You know, all my life, I spent time in Chicago. When I was in Nebraska, where I was born, I wasn't in business. I left there when I was 17. So all I knew about Marion Barry was what was in the press. But after 2 meetings with him, I understand why he's the mayor for life. The first meeting, he's the one who got me into the city council. And when he was presenting, kind of co-presenting as I was talking, he was so sharp. He was busting out the hospital in terms of how they were handling receivables. And I'm like, is he an accountant? Like, no, this man majored in chemistry. Brilliant. So when we sat down at the meeting and I walked in and I was telling him what I was trying to do and what we wanted to do, and he started making phone calls right there in my face on my behalf. Just start dialing the phone. Look, got this sister here, handed me the phone, setting me up with different people so I could get the information that I wanted. And then finally, at the end, he said, now, why you want to do this again? And I explained to him about, how we want to help our people and help them live longer. And for me, coming up out of the problem book and seeing how Master Sajdah Muhammad actually addressed vascular disease in those first, I think, 4 or 5 problems, I was just on it because I eventually wanted this hospital. At this time, we had 3 clinics and plus 4, plus the clinic inside the hospital. And he looked at me and he said, don't mess with this SHIT, build your own. He said, leave this S alone. And I was like, okay.
Wow.
But that wasn't even the most impactful thing he said. When I started putting my paperwork together and he got my wheels going, like, leave us alone. He said, what you say your name was again? And I said, okay, I don't think he's senile. He's very lucid. I sat here watching him, but he helped me for 2 hours plus the meeting at the city council and did not even know my name. He just said, this is a sister trying to do something. And so I thanked him for that. And it taught me not to use the media's version. So from that is when I then started doing the research on how we could build. And Allah was involved the whole time. We rode around trying to find land, and I was looking, my business partner were looking, we had a realtor looking, we couldn't find any land to build. And I came in the office one day, I was like, I don't know. I said, I can't find anything. I just knew that these 4 clinics I didn't like, it wasn't enough. I wanted, we eventually ended up consolidating all of them into the micro hospital. But to show you, so my business partner said, well, okay, let's just settle down. He said, let's go sit down and have dinner and just kind of map out a strategy. Because at this point, we just running around and it's burning inside of me. So I'm like getting a little stressed. And when we left out of our complex where we were in, made a left, sat at the corner, and I was in the passenger side, maybe, let's see, what is that? 6, 7 blocks away. I looked to the right and it was like 2.5 acres for sale. And then those 2.5 acres that were for sale, when I inquired about it, somebody 6 years before had tried to build a medical facility. They abandoned the project. So the survey and some of the permits and all of that were still active. So that saved me about $1 million or so. And when I called the lead engineer, he was so sweet. He was so sweet that he was like, I don't know, like some kind of character. He was like, oh, Wendy, I'll help you. No problem. He was like an angel. and he still had all the permits, all the documentation. And so we were able to fly through that part. You know, you have to have legal representation when you go for your certificate of need and all that stuff in these cities. And I was able to just say, you know, excuse me, move out the way. And we moved around that. So eventually we got it designed. We went back and forth on design because the county had never seen anything like that before. And we ended up getting them to do the approval, went forward with building and developing, had bid meetings for developers. And we ended up with a great company called Forrester. And again, we spent a lot of time trying to find African-American contractors. And this fast forwarding why we're talking about doing all this training with the Black Muslim Business Directory is because when I sat down with a lot of the Black contractors, some of them were outright disrespectful to me. You know, there was one brother who had come up, I won't even say what city, but come up from down south, and he was a contractor with a nice resume, him and his team. And when I said, well, talk to me, he did his presentation, and I said, talk to me about the other healthcare facilities that you've built. And he said, what are you talking about? He said, construction is construction. I said, no, sir. I said, I'm actually going to end this meeting because you must not understand who the boss is. I'm asking you. I get the restaurants. I get all that. I love that. But talk to me about your familiarity with federal guidelines, because what I didn't want was what had happened to the person who owned the land before us. He got halfway through just the certification process before he even dug a hole. And his architects had never done healthcare. His construction people had never done healthcare. So he ended up walking away probably from $3 or $4 million. And then there were some who didn't, we just couldn't find it. And so regretfully, I ended up going with a company called Forrester, but not regretfully, because they were really like angels. They became friends. They gave me an opportunity to really understand how proper handling of people goes a long way. And to the point where at the end, you know, I had a team of probably, you know, middle age or so people who did not look like me, who really helped put that thing together, went above and beyond. We had some major challenges and they didn't run. We had people trying to cut the power off on us from the street. We had somebody cut our power cords. They had people, but each step of the way, Allah was saying, Wendy, you're doing this wrong. So we ended up putting the connection for all of our electrical and water inside the building because people were trying to, you know, sabotage. There were a lot of efforts like that where somebody got in the construction site and loosened the pipe. So when the water came in, a whole bunch of stuff froze. It was but these guys hung in there with us, and every step of the way they were with us. And so we got it built, got it done. And I was pretty much the lead designer. Even with the architects, I was saying, I want it like this, I want it like that. I put the business model together, which drove the design, did the presentations to the county, to the federal, to the permit office, all of that. I co-PM'd it with the project manager from Forrester. And kudos to my business partner, because he didn't interfere one bit. He was like, I'll be in surgery. I'll see you later. And if I thought that he got a little nervous in his face, I would see it. I would just stay on the site in the construction trailer because I didn't want no nerves. You know, I didn't want anything. I wanted to be able to just dig in, and I just went all in. And I was pretty much, all I did was that and go to CrossFit for 4 years.
So man, I love to hear the story. There's always different nuggets that I hear about it that I think is so incredible. So one, of course, man, props and shout out to you for number one, having a vision, right? And then being able to, and I think this is when you talk about those lessons for entrepreneurs, deconstruct. You started with the end,
Mm-hmm.
and then went back and found out everything needed to be done to get to where you wanted to go.
Mm-hmm.
That's an incredible way, of course, to make your goals and your vision a reality.
Because mind you, I'm in an area, Brother Tory, where I couldn't just walk up to the county and say, if I want to build, because it started off as just a freestanding surgery center. If I want to build a freestanding surgery center, what do I do? There was no documentation. There was no package. There was nothing. So I said, okay, y'all don't know what to do. I'm going to build a micro hospital. I'm going to tell y'all how y'all should approve it. and that's kind of what we did.
See, that's determination and focus, and not seeing anything that you cannot overcome. Every obstacle, you saw it as a challenge and found a way to work through it. So, and I love how you mentioned the problem book. For those that don't know, we have a book called Supreme Wisdom that we receive in the Nation of Islam. And this book has some incredible past, present, and future information in there. Straight up past, present, and future information that gives us a through it is only through the guidance and the messaging and the words of inspiration and motivation and perspective from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan that, man, really helps us to break that thing down and understand it. So, but for y'all, when you want to peep into it, then, come on and get your ex and you can get one of those books. So,
and you know what, too, Brother Tory, can I say something about that? Because for me, I used to be what I used to call an intellect. And so I was bulldozing through my life with my intellect. So I would sit down with the problem book and working out the problems, and I'm trying to intellectually tackle it. But what I realized was the love that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan puts in us for his father is like the superpower that opened up that whole book to me. And for me, even throughout this process, I don't even know if a day went by that I didn't think about him or the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, even down to Mother Tynetta when I put crystal chandeliers in there.
Yes.
But those two, not a day went by. And then in thinking of them just functionally, I then was able to be grateful to Master Fard Muhammad. And through that, I call that my little process. I call that the Jesus within. And so just tapping into that and feeling to them. So nights when I was up with the whole table in my dining room spread out with, all of the drawings and stuff, the messengers coming to me, I can feel him. I can feel the minister, and just stopping and enjoying that wave of love and being grateful to them and for them. And then different pieces of the world started to open up.
Man, I love it. It's so powerful. And, I want to say it like this because I think it's important to recognize this. Sometimes people would think or believe that women in the Nation of Islam are not bosses, are not, when we talk about being God of the universe, then like the Holy Quran says, we're twin halves of the same essence. So there is no God without a goddess, and there is no goddess without a God. It's one and the same. And you.
How can you be a god and you don't have a goddess? Like, what are you gonna be with somebody that ain't a goddess? Like, that don't even mathematically add up.
It don't. It's incongruent. So, but that's a stereotype some people have. So
I know.
We want to recognize the boss moves that you've been doing throughout the years, and I love to hear how the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad have been a guide in your success and in business. And of course, this has opened up this incredible opportunity where, and I love to hear this story too, of how you came to acquire the former home of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Some people don't even realize or know that the home next door to what is now the palace, the National House of the Nation of Islam, is the home where some of those historic photos of Dr. King and Malcolm X, and of course his son, a lot of those historic moments happened in that home next door that has been sitting there vacant for what, decades? Maybe I think that at least 10 years or more.
Or more, yeah.
Talk about the acquiring of that, and then of course we can't wait. I know people are chomping at the bit to hear about the Elijah coins.
You know, Brother Tory, I've been thinking about how Allah was working on me for a long time for this project. So way back in the 90s, when I was working at the National Center, I had started selling real estate. Allah always used somebody. My cousin called me one day. I remember I was in Minister Ishmael's office, and he said, "Cuz, let's go to Olive Harvey College and get our real estate license." I said, "All right." So I ended up going, and he didn't. I'm like, "Cuz, you coming to class?" He's like, "Yeah," but it never came. I ended up, and then starting out, I was a terrible real estate agent at first. I couldn't sell. I thought I was too good to sell. That's really what it was. That was the intellect. But I remember people asking me about that house and not really knowing the history of it, you know, but I remember that in my mind. But one specific thing I remembered about, and if Sister Aletha's on here, she would know. I used to have this really raggedy car back then. Something was wrong with the muffler. We had rigged it up with a hanger or something. And I had bought the car from Sister Fatima, Sister Hanan, for like $300-400 or something. It was so raggedy. And Mother Tinetta would ask me sometimes to give her a ride from the palace to MUI. Because that, you know, that's where my office was, and I would have to go to the palace to get things signed by Sister Sophia or whatever. And I come up in my little loud car, and I think what prompted Sophia to have this talk with me was because, you know, they would say, "Oh, Mother, we'll take you to MUI." She'd be like, "No, Sister Wendy's coming to get me." But so what I started doing, Brother Tory, was I would park around the corner over in front of Sajdah House, in front of 4847, and walk around down the sidewalk around the driveway, because Sophia had a conversation with me. And she said, "Sister Wendy, you know, your car is not representative of the work you're doing for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan." And Letha said, "Yeah." I said, "I know that, ma'am."
Right.
I said, "Ma'am, yes, ma'am, I know." She said, "Well, you know, you really need to try to figure that out." "Yes, ma'am, I know that too." That's like somebody saying, "Your clothes real raggedy." "Yeah, I know my clothes raggedy." "Yes, you know, my car is raggedy." "Yeah, I know." "Well, you know, you gotta do better, because you're doing such great work for the minister, and I'm so proud of you and how you handle things." And I was like, okay. So what I started doing was parking around the corner so they wouldn't see me or hear me when I drove up to the palace to get signatures and stuff. And but I thought about that, and I said, and every time I'd get out of my car, I'd look at that house and walk on around the corner. And then when we lost Brother Lewis Jr., Sister Liesel his ex-wife called me and said, she told me, and I told her. She came by the office, and we just talked and just kind of reminisced. And we were close because my very first office that I had, Lewis and Liesel gave me an office in their travel agency, Windows to the World, in the Pioneer Building.
Cottage Grove, yes, I remember that building.
And I was off to the side, and they gave me an office so I could kind of get started. And then even after I went on to get my own office and was traveling, I'll tell you a quick funny story about Lewis Jr. I was working in a shared office space. Mm-hmm. And it's like a loft, and there's all these little offices, and then you have a main common area. And there was a receptionist and a security guard. So somehow Lewiston got past the security guard downstairs, and he's up on our floor, but I don't know that it's him. And I hear the receptionist, who is a Hispanic lady, arguing with somebody. And he's saying, my sister works in this building and blah, blah, blah. But I'm just on the phone. I know this argument had to go on for about 10, 15 minutes. I tell you, Lewis would find me wherever I was. So all of a sudden, somebody came, knocked on my office door. And I turn around and look like, I know they don't want me to help with whatever argument is going on out there. And she was so flustered, and she was all red, and she said, there's a gentleman here. He says he's your brother. I said, I don't have no brother in Chicago. My brother lives in She said, well, this ain't your brother. And Lewis pops out behind her. I'm like, Lou. So we were always just, him and Lisa were just a great big brother and big sister. And so when I came to Chicago for Brother Lewis's janaza, and I had been, coming in and out when I would pop in town. I'd go to Savior's Day or whatever, sit in the basement, sit in the back, sit in the balcony. That's a whole nother story. I learned at that time that the messenger's home was for sale. And I didn't think anything of it. There was no, no stirring or anything inside of me about it. I was just like, okay, praise be to Allah, that's good. Because I remembered the house being vacant when I was selling real estate, back in the day. So I was like, man, Allah, that'll be really good. We got to get our properties back. And Brother Kamal and I, National Secretary, had been on a mission to research all these old properties that the messenger had and try to get them back. So, that's what I felt like, really excitement about that. And over the summer, I was hearing about their efforts and that they were doing it. And I'm like, okay, praise be to Allah. I did not want to be involved for my own personal reasons. And maybe that was September, October. I came into the office at the surgery center. I had a really super busy day. We were getting ready for it was either an inspection or something like that. And I turned on my computer, and I have these two screens. And in the corner on the right screen is all my pop-ups. And so I subscribe to foreclosure.com and auctions.com. And, when you subscribe to those services, you put the zip code in of the areas you're interested in. So I had Chicago in there. And right at the corner, it had some kind of headline like great buy, 4847 South Woodlawn Avenue. And I went, what? And I said, excuse me, I'd be damned. But here's the thing, Brother Tory, I done seen it now as a believer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying? And and a lot of people don't think about that for me as a believer, because I'm running around teaching, ingraining the teachings and the policies and procedures and trying my best to convert people. And, even if they don't see me every day, but I see this. And I was like, wow. And I must have had a certain reaction on my face, because my business partner came into the office and he said, "What's wrong with you?" And he literally never comes around to the backside of my desk. Mm-hmm. And it was still there in the corner. And he said, "Click on it." And I was like, man, oh, Lord have mercy. I don't want no problems. I don't want no drama. This is too much. And he said, "Girl, click the button." So I click it. It talked about the price and about the house and call this number if you want to register to bid and all that. I was like, he said, you should click it. And I was like, nah, I'm not going to deal with that. So as the day went on, he got increasingly more angry with me because I was acting what he said I was acting scared. Mm-hmm. And if he was here, he would say, "You acting all scared and everything." He's like, "You can't." And so he had been looking at, all these videos about how we lose historic properties and all that. And he said, "So y'all just gonna let the messengers home just go like that?" I said, "Look, you don't understand the dynamics. Can you please just stay out of this?" I started making phone calls and texting people, and they said, "We got it." And I was like, okay. And so when he came back in that third time, maybe around 2 or 3 o'clock, I said, "They got it already. It's good. It ain't going, don't worry. It's not going to go." He was like, "No, he said, that bank ain't lying like that, Wendy. I buy properties off of these sites all the time." He said, "You better call that number, because if they think they got it, either the bank playing tricks," or he went into this whole thing. But he just really kept badgering me. One time he actually scrubbed out of a case. And he said that he just couldn't let it go. It was already starting to weigh on my mind. And then I called my brother because I didn't even want to be the one calling. And my brother said, "I'll call. I ain't got no problem. I'll call." So my brother called and they said, "We don't want to talk to nobody else, Muhammad, about this house."
Wow.
So my brother got angry. And he said, "Well, this Muhammad is serious. I don't know who you think you talk." He jumped all down their throat. And he called me, told me what they said. I said, "Well, you couldn't get no information?" He said, "No, they don't want to talk about it as soon as I said your name." So I said, "Is there an agent on there?" And so he found the agent's name, and her name is Patty. Patty is actually one of my good friends. She was one of the angels on this project. She's one of the angels for real, for real. She called me back and she said, "I think I can get it done for you." And she told me what happened and what the problem was in the past, because apparently she was the agent on that. And I was like, well, I'm seriously trying to decide if I'm going to do this or not. I said, but she said, "Well, I think I can probably get it done for you." And I said, "Well, can I give them a deposit, like maybe $50,000, and they hold it, because I have to be in Africa next week?" And she was like, "No, they're not going to take anything." I said, "They won't take a deposit?" And she said, "No," because I thought that if I paid a deposit, I can then figure out what happened. But Allah had backed me into a corner, both from a business standpoint, business and real estate standpoint, and as a believer, because I can't walk away. This is the messenger's house. So now I'm getting emotional. And so I started getting a buzzing in my head, like not a ring in the ear, but a buzz in the head, like it was about to be a headache, but it didn't hurt. It's just like, almost like if somebody took a pager and held it near your head, but you could feel the vibration. Do you understand what I'm saying? Not really hard, but a vibration like a pager or something like that. Or like a shaver, zzz, those shavers that y'all use, something like that. Not that loud, but near my head. Oh, okay. And so I went home. I left early and just went home, laid across the bed in my clothes, and took a Tylenol because I thought I was about to get a headache. And I had to sleep until maybe about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. Mm-hmm. And when I woke up, I didn't open my eyes right away. And I remember going, man, I'm still in my clothes. I never put my outside clothes on top of my bed, you know, and I was like, oh man. I said, what am I going to do about this house? But I didn't open my eyes. And then I said, why is my head still buzzing like this? And I remember thinking, let me just get up. Maybe if I take a shower and it'll stop. And when I opened my eyes, what I believe was the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad was standing in my bedroom. And there was no words, not verbal words. He looked at me and I looked at him. And then I kind of shifted up a little bit and he kept looking and I kept looking. And then when I went to swing my legs over to the side of the bed, it went away. And when I went in the bathroom, I said, all right, I can't walk away from this. I just can't do it. So then the next day, I called Patty and I said, let me figure this out. I don't know. She's like, well, you don't have time to get a mortgage. Plus, I knew I had to be in Africa. And they didn't want nothing. Since they were going to go to auction, they wanted cash. Mm-hmm. So I told my business partner, I said, listen, I need to liquidate some of my stuff I got in the account. He was like, what? Like, oh, you going to do it? And I was like, yeah. So I'm just letting you know. So when I take a big chunk, you don't be like, she done took all her money and she trying to leave and she going to vamp, you know? Because what we have been doing with the business, because we never knew how things were going to go, we would take like a certain amount of salary and then leave the rest of our equity in the account so that we always had something we could fall back on. And I said, so I got to go in my savings. Because we were kind of using it as a savings account. And he said, okay. And I had to give my brother power of attorney. Went to Africa. When I was in Africa in a meeting, my brother called with Patty, his wife, and my mother. And he said, sis, we did it. And Patty said, the sisters got it done. She's a little Italian lady. And my brother said, I don't know what you're going to do with this big old thing, but we inside the messenger's home. And I'm looking at them. We on FaceTime, and I'm in Africa. I just started crying. And shout out to my brother. I always have to give him kudos for this because there was a family of raccoons that were living in that house. Again, Allah is the best knower, because were it not for those raccoons, probably over the years, the rats and rodents would have ate up all the woodwork and you would have found all of that. Them raccoons kept all that stuff out of the woodwork. Is almost perfect. All we have to do is restain it. And so I stood outside, gone outside of the meeting. I was standing outside on the street in Africa crying because they were FaceTiming me from the house. And I was like, all right, this is it. It's a real deal. So I immediately, on my way back, started writing a letter to the minister and sent him the letter. And then I got scared because I didn't hear anything. And I was like, oh man, did I do the wrong thing? But eventually he met with me and we had the most beautiful spiritual meeting ever. And, from that point on, my spiritual life heightened and expanded even further. And this is where we are now. We're where we are today. And the deed on the property is dated September 19th, 2019.
September 19th, 2019.
Yep. And what's interesting is that I got my ex on September 9th, 1990. And then the house deed is 9/19/19.
Man, that's beautiful. And for those who have known you throughout the years as Sister Wendy Muhammad, it was from that meeting that you became Sajdah.
It was the next meeting. The next meeting, yeah.
Yeah.
He said Sajdah is the right name for the project, and it's the right name for you.
Man, beautiful. So, and you see, man, I'm rocking my shirt, Mind of an Entrepreneur. This book that our sister wrote, Brothers and Sisters, Get It. You get into some of the mindset that you need to be able to do some of the things that she's done. So not only it's some incredible work that she's doing, but she is helping others to get the right mindset in order to get that done, to do it, to reach your goals, right? And to accomplish what you want to accomplish in life. So let's talk a little bit now, of course, about the Elijah coins and talk about from the house where these coins have been produced.
Yes. So just so that people understand, and I understand now that I have to give people a better understanding of me. And I won't be long-winded on this one, but probably if I was born in the last 10 years, they probably would have said, oh, she's autistic, because you know how they label children. So this is kind of how I was as a child. I was one of those persons, I still am, but it's transformed, a very sensitive person. So I would pay attention to granular levels of detail and just notice and feel every single thing. And I disliked that about myself. And so what I learned to do, though, was I said, you know what? If this is something that has been prevalent in my life and it's the way I've been, maybe that's my superpower. So I write about a little bit about that in the book, in that I started saying, okay, if I can sit down at the table and see things that nobody else can see, if I can look at a building and have more detail or come up with something that maybe nobody else came up with, maybe this whole thing of sensitivity is not a bad thing. Maybe you just need to stop rejecting it and creating stress in your life and using a trait about yourself and that's authentic about you, and monetize it and bring it into the business world. And that is fully how I approached this renovation and restoration of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad's home. Turning over every detail, every brick, every piece of mortar, the wood species, every single thing down to the mustard seed of detail. And then also that led to not wanting to waste anything, because anything that comes from his home is valuable. I said, I might need to repurpose it. I might need to do, if we're taking beams out of the coach house, what are we going to do with those? Oh, we can make benches. So this project becomes the whole repurposing and recycling of unused materials, down to windows. We have some windows that we could not reuse that are one of the bedroom windows that could likely have been one of the ones where the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan had his outer body experience. So the point being is that the house is surrounded by copper. So all the gutters are copper, the downspouts are copper. Then when we started removing some of the white paint on the bay windows, they were 100% copper. We found limestone, 5 different types of wood. Now 6 different types of wood. And with the copper, I said, the copper we can save, which ended up only being on the bay windows and some of it up on the roof. We decided that we would make some coins out of the old copper. I spent about 3 months trying to find somebody a foundry who would say, yeah, we'll use your copper, we'll do it. But nobody was saying yes to me. And so what I said was, okay, I'm gonna find somebody. And my intention, Brother Tory, which I always have to apologize to you, because my intention was to ask you to help me to design the coin. But since I couldn't find anybody who would melt the old copper, I said, there's no need in bothering Brother Tory about it. And as it turned out, the day that I decided to call 3 foundries, the third lady, which was, of course, the last one, she said, I've never done anything like that before, but I'll help you. I think we can do it. That sounds fun. So I know you got your side of the story. I called you and said, Tori, I need you to design this coin like now. Because the lady done said, yeah, and I don't want to lose any momentum. So yes. she told me how much copper she needed for the first set of coins, and I was like, I got a lot of copper. What you need? So she told us what we needed to do. We needed to cut it. We needed to, and this is a spiritual process in and of itself. Once we removed it, we had to take the nails out of it. We had to scrape the paint off. We had to wash it, flatten it, and then they melted it at 1,983 degrees Fahrenheit. And the patina melted off, and we created our Sajdah House commemorative Elijah coins. And I'll let you talk about the design.
Yeah, let me see if I can pull it up.
All right.
Maybe they can see it a little bit better from there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, man, first of all, I mean, I appreciate you and thank you for
bringing
me on to this project. It's been a, you know, it's been mind blowing for me, and it's been humbling. And yes, as people hear the story and the sense of urgency that she came to me in, you know, first of all, when you asked me to do it that morning, I think maybe 10 o'clock, 10:30, I was absolutely excited. And I don't know, I can't remember how you said it, if you said now or you needed it soon, but still in my mind, I'm not thinking soon is today, the same day. And but we went to work. There was no way I was not going to be a part of the project and take and accept it. You know, we definitely have been built and made to be able to, you know, see a challenge and not have any fear. Now, you know, of course, if somebody called me talking about, can I make some coins for you know, John F. Kennedy or somebody like that, no, I ain't got time for that.
I'm busy. I'm busy.
No, I'm sorry, I can't do that. But we were talking about the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. We were talking about his home. I already knew the story and what you met and overcome to get it. So I said, absolutely. And when I accepted it, you know, I had no clue on how I was going to make that happen. But I reached out to one of my designers, one of my team members, and told him we needed to, you know, I need to get the specs on what it takes to put together a coin. And then I started sketching and started putting the thoughts around what you gave me that you wanted to make sure was, you know, premier in the coin. And I missed a step that was important though. And I was moved by the sense of urgency, right? So I gave you a design and it was decent, you know, but it wasn't where it needed to be, right? But I'm still thinking it's good, right? And when you said to me, you gave me some feedback and you said, you know, put your spirit into it, and it clicked. I said, oh yeah, it needs to be, she wants some more in this. And then I went to do.
I didn't feel your spirit from that design. I didn't feel any energy from it, or at least not enough. And so that's why I said, put your spirit into it.
Right. And of course, when you said that, it made me go to pray first, which is what I should have done in the first place. And I went and and did some rakahs and really just, instead of feeling a little bit frantic about it, I just relaxed. Right. And I started reflecting on what you were doing and how incredible this was. So then that's when the design came. So of course, on the first part, I tried to enlarge it a little bit. We have, of course, the name, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, in a circle. And you see that wonderful iconic picture of him with his fez on, and of course the bow tie. And we have next to him, in the name of Allah, because of course everything he did in Allah's name.
Everything he does.
Everything he does. I'm sorry. Everything he does. Absolutely, 100%. Everything he does in the name of Allah. And we have 24 stars, 5-point stars around it, and the coin and around him, which both give recognition to the 24th surah of the Holy Quran, which is called the light. And then it's also in Matthew 24, there's a chapter that talks about as the sun rises from the east to the west, so shall it be with the coming of the Son of Man. And obviously, where'd it go? Some strong symbolic imagery there. And then on the back, see, there you go. There go your time to get your T's in. Look at it, it's moving slow right now.
I just want y'all to know that Brother Tory always has technical difficulties, so you just have to be patient with him. We get on the calls and Brother Tory is fumbling. He said, I remember we were doing a directory. I think it was either you. I think you said, do you really want to know what's going on? I said, I don't want to hear about it.
Right. That was a boss. That was a boss response right there. You don't need to know what was going on.
I don't know.
So
shout out to the coin you were showing was Sister Sadia's coin from Houston. She bought several coins. And I always say my cousins from down south always show up and show out. You know how when you little, your cousins come up from down south?
Right, that's right.
Nobody mess with you when your cousins come up, right?
That's right, absolutely.
So the Southwest region, listen, they have been showing out. They are helping to sponsor a couple of exhibits in Sajdah House. Sister Kiana Mans with her law firm, she's sponsoring our exhibit on Mother Khadija Farrakhan, which we're going to do like the First Ladies. Sister Sadia is also sponsoring Elijah's Garden, which is the
that's beautiful.
The landscape and the area around where the Cracked Adams statue is going to be. And then, so what you were showing was Sadia's posting because she received her coins. And I think most of the orders that I've gotten have been from the Southwest region, they say.
Really?
Yeah. So, and then I think shortly after that, I think it's a tie between Chicago and then the West Coast region.
Man, that Southwest region, they
show out. You hear me?
They're not any shortstoppers at all.
They're my cousins. I'm telling you, cousins from down south. They come up for the summer. You be waiting all school year for your cousins to come up from down south. Oh, there we go, Brother Tory.
All right, so now as it pops up, so let's talk about the other side.
Yep.
The other side, I'm not going to enlarge it. I think that's what happened. I tried to enlarge it. So on the other side, of course, you have on the top, which is why thank you for correcting me in my improper use of subject-verb agreement. He lives, right? So everything that he does in the name of Allah, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We see him and know him and believe him to still be alive and well. And so he lives across the top. That is a image of the house where all the work has been done, is being done, and will continue to be done and recognized because of Sister Sajdah securing that home. And then on the left side of the home, if you're looking at it, of course, you have the star and the crescent. That star and crescent represents freedom, justice, and equality. And up under in the coin, it's at the bottom, but it's not on the ground. It represents it being the support. We have an image of the Holy Quran. And that Holy Quran, of course, is a credible base and foundation of the work that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad did for 40 years and continues to do as he guides the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So that Holy Quran, anybody, I don't care what your religion is, I don't care what your perspective is, if you read that book, you'll be enhanced, you'll be uplifted, And if you listen to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, you'll be able to get an incredible perspective of it that will help you to, do great things in the name of that book and in the name of the ones that book represents. So all of it is symbolic, and it was such a joy to really create something that I think, reflects the work that you're doing and creating these coins.
Yeah, so I mean, literally what we're holding here is a piece of the messenger's home. And if we really truly understand who he is, then we understand that this is truly valuable. And so we've repurposed this copper is actually from his house.
Right. And so, and of course, I mentioned that in the beginning. It's not, of course, people need to get the piece and be a part of what it represents. But then with their purchase, because each coin is $500, and that $500, I mean, for a piece of history, to me, it's worth more than that. But that $500 you are putting towards the final stages of getting the home together to be a beacon of light and a source for inspiration and motivation for the members of the Nation of Islam, but for Black people in general, and really anybody in the world who believes in righteousness and goodwill and the upliftment of humanity. But then, of course, they will help to contribute to that last leg of putting it together with their contribution.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, excuse me. It will help go towards some of the technology that we're working on, which we are planning to combine the culture with technology. So as we work to showcase the table talks, we have a table that actually was owned by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, courtesy of Imam Sultan Muhammad. And so you get to see that table, and the messenger sat at that table and was so disciplined and regimented that he signed his name, and it's embedded in the table. And so that table being in the dining room, we have technology that we're going to use because it's a historic home. I don't want the walls tore up, with TVs and stuff slapped on the side of them. So using technology, we can change the exhibits using screens and projections and things. And so we flew out and found a company that can actually project images onto the table. So we can play like a 3 to 5 minute excerpt of the table talk. And let's say it's a conversation between the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. We can project both of them at the table.
Oh man, this is so beautiful. This is going to be so amazing.
Yeah, so you really get a chance to learn why this property is the single most important piece of property in modern day Black history. No other piece of property in the world has held this many key figures from our culture in such a short period of time. And the technology will be throughout the house, different types of technology, our digital light boxes where you can just walk up and learn more about the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And then also the opportunity to be able to do virtual tours, which is important now. And, we have to have somebody that's going to come in and virtually map out the house, take video. So when you are doing your virtual tour, you can scroll through and either participate in an existing in-person tour or literally just pay for a virtual tour. And we'll have, other merchandise and things like that we're going to offer. So for the $500 donation, you get one coin. Some people are talking about making like a medallion out of their coin, where they're going to put diamonds and the stars and in his fez. And I can't wait to do that. I called a jeweler in New York because I was like, nah, I need a chain with this on it, with some diamonds in it. So that's going to be, but you can, you can make a watch out of it. You can do what you want. I say get two, get one that you're going to keep just kind of as your heirloom, or get several, because this is an heirloom. They've been graded by a company called ICG. So each coin has its own barcode.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you about that process. So I have found a company in China who had helped me to design the most beautiful packaging. I mean, it was gorgeous. It was a satin box that the coin would sit in, had velvet inside, and the logo and the colors was like a nice green. And one thing that I always do before I do anything, I ask Allah, is this okay? I say, what do you think? And I think that was probably going to be about $21 a coin for this elaborate packaging. But what I was getting back from Allah was, I'm like, man, I think this is gorgeous, but what else should I do to it? Like, what am I missing? And then another one of the angels on the project, the woman who's helping me put these together, she said, Wendy, do you want to get them graded? And I said, well, what do you mean? She said, well, generally coin grading is preserved for when you have a minted coin. But being that these are commemorative coins and it's not currency, you can get them graded and each coin can have its own barcode. And what will happen is it makes it more valuable as a collector's item moving forward and throughout history. And so they will grade that you have 100% copper. This kind of authenticates it to collectors because, people make coins and they make gold, but they fill it with nickel and all kind of other stuff.
Right.
And so she said, if you really want to be in the collectible coin game, you need to get them graded. And so I thought, does it make sense to spend $21 a coin on an elaborate packaging, or take that money and get them graded and make it a collector's piece? So I took that back to Allah. It's like, ding, 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 ding. There you go. Like, there you go, daughter. Now you own something. And so that's what we ended up doing with these. So ICG, which is a recognized company. And if you go to the website, sajdahhouse.com, SAJDAHHOUSE, there's information on there about ICG, and you will see just what they did to grade the coin and value our coin that has our beloved, most honorable Elijah Muhammad on the face of it.
I love it. Graded, commemorative, collector's item. And I want to just really shout out real quick some of the people who've been tuning in. Sister Donna Muhammad, man, we appreciate her. But my mom always tunes in, which they've been getting some great feedback from them. And then, man, I'm looking forward to you meeting this Sister Maya Wright. Maya Wright is a young lady that I interviewed yesterday, right? And she wants to design some clothing. Some wonderful designs. People were responding to them, and she's connected with members of the Nation of Islam. So she already designed a hat with in the name of Allah on it, a Scully hat. But when she saw the Elijah coins, she said, "Tori, I want to meet her. I want to design something for this house."
Let me tell you something, Brother Tori. I'm gonna be the best dressed sister in the world because I got two other designers, and when I tell you they cold and you giving me this sister too, they ain't gonna be able to touch me. I'm gonna be putting Mary J. Blige to shame, but in a righteous, modest way.
That's right. That's what I'm talking about. So, man, but it's just a tribute to, how the work you're doing is inspiring cross generation. She's like 18 years old. She's at FAMU. She's a college student, but moved by what you're doing. So, man, I appreciate being a part of this project. And I know we kind of, we ran a little bit over time.
Okay, I'm sorry. That's
okay.
probably me with my long stories.
That's okay. But I do want you to close out to talk a little bit about, you said something about the technology, but some of the meticulous care that you've been taking in restoring the home and repurposing, material from the home to make sure that nothing goes to waste.
I call it restoration with a toothbrush, because we're doing everything by hand. The exterior of that building has almost been reconstructed by hand, from the roof to the bricks to matching the mortar colors, you name it. Inside the home, the person who's working on the woodwork for us understands the spiritual nature of it, and was sharing with me that as he began to strip the wood,
Mm-hmm.
and as you know, wood holds energy for many, many years. And as he began to strip the wood, he started to feel certain energies coming out in the house. And so just caring for that wood, I got to do better than the raccoons that lived in there, right? They made sure nobody chipped it or ate it. So them raccoons were angels. And so that to the coach house that really now has technically been rebuilt. We rebuilt the entire back of the coach house. We replaced beams in the floors. All the floor beams, we've sistered them so that, it's extra reinforcement. So God willing, the house will last another 100 years. The roof we've replaced, and we have a synthetic slate roof on it. So that's done. All new windows, and there's a lot of windows in that house. Some of the windows that we could save, we did save them. And so some of the bay windows that are lead glass windows, there's some stained glass windows in there that we were able to save, that we had restored by hand. So I'm talking about a person chipping away at 100 years of soot on the house. Limestone, there's limestone caps and borders on the house. We've worked to restore and save the limestone that was there. So all of the elements, we have original doorknobs that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad would have touched and opened. We've been able to restore and clean those, again, by hand. We've got doors. We have only 5 doors that we could not reuse. So we're going to put some kind of artwork on it and probably auction those off. And then there's some windows that we couldn't reuse, but even down to the doors, the floor, we're saving all of the walls and the construction of the house. It will remain the same. There's one wall that we're removing, which is up on the 2nd floor to create an extra bathroom. But for the most part, there's not, we're not dismantling the messenger's home at all. People were starting rumors saying I was going to make it a bed and breakfast or a senior home or a incubator space with a bunch of cubicles in there. Not true. This is sacred space. You get to come in. We're going to talk to you about how to enter sacred spaces. Our staff will be trained on how to handle sacred spaces. And so when you come there, you will learn about the sacredness of that property, and what it served as for our great nation and for our great leader now, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So we will, he is enshrined in that home with his father. He will be there. His footprint will be all over. You will see him and you will know that they are one and the same. So there's really no separation in my mind at this point between the two. So that's the one mind. But that's, even down to the brick. We went in and we We did color sampling. We rejected so many different colors and strengths that didn't work. We chose bricks. We had to keep the bricks even. We had to take bricks off the back of the coach house, bring them to the main house. And then we said, well, you can't see the back of the coach house. So if those are new bricks, it's okay. Even now we're, running out of bricks. So we kind of got to figure out some solutions. But this is like one big puzzle piece and a lot of sub puzzles, that we're putting together. We're replacing the HVAC system, the plumbing, the sewer had trees growing out of it. So we're, by the grace of God, able to solve a lot of these puzzle pieces through being in love and taking care and loving not only the process, but the man and his great helper.
I love it. I appreciate you and the work you're doing. You see, brother, Sika shouted, he chimed in, problem number 13. That's right.
Yes, praise be to Allah.
Friendships in all walks of life. So I think it's definitely important that people, get to hear from you and get to hear about this work and the energy and spirit behind it. And, for busting up some of those rumors too. So y'all heard it here. You hear what it's going to be used for.
Yeah.
And
it's a cultural center. Man, dedicated to the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And we're not having prayer in there. I heard that somebody said that there's going to be a bunch of people. No. This is so that you can learn about the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And really, since my emphasis is business, I really want people to see the mechanisms that he used, the mindsets that to help set us up to do for self, right? To build an $80+ million empire. And so maybe from that's where they thought we were going to put incubators in there. And people have been writing me saying, can I work up in there and get one of the cubicle spaces? And if it's a bed and breakfast, can I book it? It's a nursing home. No. This is pure sacred space. I would never do that to the most honorable Elijah Muhammad's home. It can't be nothing other than his home.
That's right. Beautiful. Well, man, we appreciate you. And so the website is up on the screen, sajdahhouse.com. Go there, get your purchase in, get a few coins, right? Get some for you to bling out, to make your Jesus piece.
For your grandchildren.
Get some for the grandchildren, right? Because it is a part of history, and it's a. Can I
just say one thing, Brother Tory? Yeah. One of the things that we want to be able to help, and Imam Sultan and I were talking about this, in that helping our people to understand the sacredness of our history. Because in other cultures, to say that you have a piece of a great person's home is a big deal, or to go into the space of a great person in that culture's home is a big deal. So we want to teach our people about the power of sacred spaces and how important it is, and how you enter a sacred space and how you cherish a sacred space, just to help restore our love for our history and who we are.
That's right. I mean, if Wrigley Field could have people spending thousands of dollars for a piece of a chair,
I know,
for sport and play, I mean, then what value do we place on the home that was the base of of every Black Power movement inside and outside the Nation of Islam in our history since Marcus Garvey, mm-hmm. Right? Man, you're absolutely right. It's a sacred place, and look,
this is the home of the Messiah.
I remember being in the streets. And there was a home that we called the Fort on 40, right, on 39th Street, that was sacred, and it was the base of the El Rukins. Okay. So imagine, just to highlight what you're saying, if we put some value on some things that were, they have its moments, but if this is not the most sacred space, in Chicago and throughout the world for what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad has been doing from that location. I mean, what place is it?
Yes.
There is none. There is none for sure. Unless it is also an example of the work that he's been doing through his top student minister, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So, man,
we love so much. We love you, brother minister.
Absolutely. And so we thank Allah for making you that vessel, and we encourage everybody to get your coins before they're not anymore, because it was only so much copper to use, so you only made so many coins, right? So get you a coin before they're gone, and you have to be figuring out what else you can get. But the coins will be gone. Yeah.
Thank you, Brother Tory. Thank you for having me on to talk about this great mission. And I pray that everybody goes to sajdahhouse.com and support.
All right. All right. So, of course, we'll be talking to you soon. We appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
And assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Greetings. My name is Tory Muhammad, the founder of Bean Soup Media. We are a content and digital marketing strategy company that empowers the brands of small businesses. We are a passionate team of designers, writers, photographers, and most importantly, problem solvers. And we come together to help you tell your story.
Brother Tory, you shared a post about our business a few years ago. It's reached almost 50,000 people within about 30 days. Brother Tory, through yourself, we have had so much media coverage, newspapers. We're talking about the Channel 7, Channel 9. You have brought so much attention to Sean Michelle's homemade ice cream, and I will never stop supporting Bean Soup Times and Black Chicago Eats. And I wish that others will also take a closer look what you have to offer, because we have benefited. Just take a look at Sean Michelle's. Take a look down the street. See the line to the next block. That's as a direct result of the social media that you've posted. That's as a direct result of the live testimonies that you've done in Sean Michelle's. That's as a direct result of the writings that you've written up on Sean Michelle's homemade ice cream. And so God has really blessed you first to have a love for our community, to have a love for black businesses, and one for your brother, which you want for yourself.
In the building.
All right. So, brothers and sisters, man, I know you got something from that show. That was an incredible show and a groundbreaking show. Great information. We appreciate Sister Sajdah Muhammad for coming on. And, of course, we want to close out with some of our people. So you just heard from Sean Michelle's. We appreciate them, love them for being a supporter of the program. And, of course, man, we Dan's Soul Food and Cafe. Man, where every day is Thanksgiving. Get over there on 79th Street and get some of that great food. Brown Sugar Bakery, dangerously delicious. Those caramel cakes are second to none. And then if you are a Black Muslim, get your business in our Black Muslim business directory. And then shout out to Sissy's Taco Bar. They're doing their pop-up at 312 East 75th Street today and tomorrow at Mabe's Deli. So make sure you get over there. And then we got our brother, Willie Wright, who came on the show, Majay Motors. He's out there in Indiana, not too far. It's about 30 minutes outside of the south side of Chicago. Go over there and get you a car from a brother that is that you can trust, right? He's very trustworthy, been selling cars for 17 years, and we know him. So he's a person that you can trust to get you a good car at the best rate. So with that, we're going to close out this show. If you need something from us, you need some assistance with your marketing, with helping your business grow its brand, you know, you can give us a call at any time, reach out to us, direct messenger us, however we can help. And I'm telling you, brothers and sisters, many of us don't think enough about strategy, right? Strategy is so important when you're developing your marketing plan. And your strategy needs to be in alignment with your business goals, right? You can't just see what someone else is doing and try to mimic what they're doing, because they're doing what's natural to them, but it may not match your business goals, right? It may not match your core values, right? It may not match your brand image, right? What kind of brand image do you have, right? Are you the strong business that's been around for 20, 30 years or more, that has a level of authority to it that, you know, your messaging should match that? Are you a new upstart that, you know, is kind of a maverick that, you know, likes to use humor and take chances, right? Are you the wise sage business where your business reflects your wisdom and your knowledge and your being able to consult people, right? These are the kind of things you got to understand what your brand is so that you can develop messaging and marketing tactics that reflect who and what you are. But of course, you also got to know who your core audience is, who your target audience is. So there's some tools you can use if you have been in business for 5-6 years, but you're not sure who your main audience is. There's a way you can figure that out, and we can help you to do that. It's really about studying who your best customer is, right? And your best customer is the one who buys from you often, buys from you with no problem about paying, no complaints about paying you what you're worth, and then they refer other people to you, right? If your business can get people like that, duplicate the people who buy from you often and refer you to other people. If you had 100 or 200, for some businesses, you only need 10 people like that, right? And you'll be set. Those are the kind of things that you can look for to help you identify who your core audience is, and then you reach out to them consistently. But with that, man, I'm gonna close out this show. You've already been fed and gotten some wonderful business principles from Sister Sajdah Muhammad today. And we appreciate you, love you, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow for our show. Tomorrow we're gonna do a show at 3 o'clock, special edition. And then I've got an announcement coming up real soon. Well, we may be expanding, man. We may be expanding to another platform to do our show. And we're not going to tell you yet, but we're pretty sure it's about to happen, but we're going to hold off on it. So look forward to that announcement coming soon. Appreciate you. Love you. Assalamu alaikum.